and I know that the kids are really loving them. So, all right. Well,
How do we go ahead and start with something?
Yeah. How do we start with the head?
This is the head, and it has to start. It has two side pieces, which are right here, here, and here, and you would sew those together at this center seam. And I have gone ahead and done that. What we're going to do right now is add the center area where the nose is, or the snout, and this is an area where you're going to have to fit in some fabric and go a little slow around the curve, so we're going to go ahead and do that. When I start to sew things like this, I do cut multiples up so I can get a number of them done at one time. And I like to back stitch on all my seams because of the stress that the seams go through. So if you have some extra stitching at each end, then it's going to help secure the fabric in place. And attaching your ears, they go in your center front. Off to the side, make sure that I usually take that center front seam, I'll divide it in half, and then I'll place the ears. There are dots on the pattern, tells you the placement of the ears, and if you want to, you can stuff them with just a minuscule, a little bit of stuffing, or if you have some batting you want to use to put in there, and then you're going to baste with your machine around the top edge, and then your ears will perk up and look like everybody's. Sorry. And then we're going to add the back piece. Anytime that you're doing a seam where it's going to have some stress on it, like this will have stuffing inside of it, you want to be sure and back stitch to secure that seam really well. The seam, the stitch width that I use on my sewing machine is 2.5. It's a good stitch. It's not too tight. It's not too loose, and it's really good for supporting the fabric on the bears.
Yeah, I can imagine the kids will be walking around and playing with these bears. It has to be sturdy.
Right, it does. It does have to be sturdy. We're going to turn right side out. And the head is attached a little later on. Actually, it's one of the last things done, and we'll cover that.
Wow, that's great. And that's some fancy fabric.
Yeah.
I like it.
So there's your snout and your head. It doesn't look like much now, but it will when it's stuffed. I've gone ahead and stitched the front seams together, and so when you open it up, this is what you're going to have on each side of the bear. This one's plain. All of them plain, yeah.
Oh, I see.
A lot of times I'll have, I've gone up to 4 different fabrics on a bear, but they all coordinate. They all have the same colorings in them. So what we're going to do is add the feet on this. And one thing I'm going to do first is show you how to put the logo in, the fabric with the logo. And I'm going to shove this back a little bit. I'm going to open. I've gone ahead and stitched the leg. Make sure that you leave your opening for stuffing on the back, and that also goes for the arms. Each one on your pattern will say stuff to here, and then you leave that area opening and stuff it. So what I'm going to do here is put the logo in. I found that if I cut my logo and it's an up and down, the print is up and down, and I divide it into 4 sections. And so the first section will go in the front seam, like that. And the back one to the back seam. And if I found that if I divide it into quarters, that it works really well getting it around.
Sewing it around
the foot.
This is the part that's sewn onto the body, and then the bottom has the already sewed fabric with the Rare Science logo, which makes them really unique and fun. I love that.
Make sure it's all cut. Okay, you want to turn that out?
Oh, I have a
side
job.
Out. Right
Okay.
side out.
Okay.
And we're going to be putting them.
Look at that. That's great. All right, so we're doing well. We've got two legs with the soles on. Part of the body and the head.
Right. So
All
now
right.
we're going to add these legs to the body part. And you want to bring your front seam to the back seam. And you want to make sure that the toe is against the tummy. If you have worse it around, then you're going to be having the heel back there. But you want to.
So you have backward legs. That's not good.
You don't want to walk backwards. So you're going to make sure your toe is against the tummy, and matching all your notches and dots on the pattern. You're going to secure it down. And we'll put the other one in here. Find your center fronts and backs. Toe to the tummy. Match your knots and dots. The simplicity pattern that we're using is an excellent pattern, and it's very easy to read. The only difference with what we're doing is setting in that tag. So this is the legs attached to the front of the body, and make sure that you follow your notches and dots on the pattern to where you have your placement, and be sure that your toes poke out, or when you're sewing them on, they're into the tummy.
Makes sense. Very cute.
Yeah.
All right, so what's next?
Well, let's put the tag in, and this will be in the back, and the body piece, the back body piece, has some darts, which I've already done. I've already sewn those in, and the back center seam, you're going to come down about 1.5 inches on the seam allowance, and you're going to stitch from the neck edge down about 1.5 inches, and then you're going to set, let me pull out the tag here, you're going to set the little tag in right at the end of that stitching. And so you're going to sew from the neck edge down, and you're going to stick the tag in about 1.5 inches down from that stitching. And you want to make sure that it's secured really, really tight, because we don't want anybody to be able to pull this out. One thing, it'll leave a hole.
Yeah, so we were talking about this, that this is really an important piece where it shouldn't be in one of the hand-stitched areas where, you know, maybe there had been an access for stuffing, but really in one of the machine-sewn stitches.
Right, right. So I'm going to come over here at the end of it. I'm going to sew a few stitches. I'm going to back stitch to hold it in place, because this is also an area that we're going to have, that the stuffing will go in. A quarter of an inch is your seam allowance, and we're just going to go all the way up to the neck edge and back stitch. We're going to come up from the bottom, and back stitch, and now you have your tag in.
Oh, that's great. It's really secure. So yeah, can we show, I really want to show everybody how this is, and also the orientation, because what you've done is really have, you know, when you fold it over, you can actually read Rare Science, Rare Bear number 1039, so that you aren't attaching it, you know, the opposite way.
Right.
So
right,
it really
right.
is I think really sturdy and in there, and I just think that that's a really critical part for our bears.
Okay, so now we're going to be attaching the front and the back of the body together, and you want to be sure you have attached your legs, remember. You want to be sure that they're up in the body section, and you want to put them to where you cannot catch them in the stitching of the side seams. So I'm going to bring the seam of the front and the back together at the bottom.
So it's almost like the legs are in the body pocket.
They
like
are.
in a pocket.
They are, and we're going to keep them there for just a minute, and when we get all done, everything will pop out. It's like one of those pop-out books. Okay, so we're going to sew around. So I'm not going to attach, well, I am going to attach one arm. Let's do one arm. So the way you put your arms on, you have your front and your back all attached already, but you're going to now go to your arm, and it's going to go in up here, and it's going to, it'll be on the side, and you'll just stitch it there, and then you turn the whole thing. All right, now we have our body with our legs hanging down. Our body is sewn together. The tag is on. We have our opening here for stuffing, and that will go into the head and the main body of the bear. Now we're going to add the arms, and they are just lightly tacked on because they'll also be reinforced when we add the head. So when you do your bear, think of this. I think we will do bear.
Do you think?
Yeah. All right. So again, there's your arm. There's the hole for stuffing, and the other arm will go on this side, and then we're going to go to adding the head. And the head is going to be, this will be wrong side out. Again, we'll pull this out, stuff it back in there. And you want to drop the head right side in, and you're going to drop the head. And I'm going to switch to this little bear because I've got the head all in place, and we're going to just sew around and make magic happen. Take the pins out. And an important part is when you're sewing on the bears, make sure you get all of your pins out. I always go and squish it real tight to make sure that I have gotten the pins out. And so I'm looking for my opening, and I find a pin down here. We're going to turn it right side out, the whole thing. Arms and legs are coming out, head's coming
Look at
out.
that. There's a bear.
Sewn bear. And one of the last things you're going to do is the eyes and the nose, and they are all done with embroidery floss, and I believe it's a cotton thread. And I take a button. I have a whole jar of buttons, but I take a button to get the right size I want, and I will lightly go around where it's supposed to go and then embroider it in. And we don't like to use buttons or anything for children, so we do embroider them all. And then the nose is also embroidered, and I prefer to do the eyes and the nose after the bear is stuffed. Too firm on it, but nice and soft and cuddly.
Wow. Well, Mom, gosh, thank you so much for walking through how to make one of our rare bears, and I look forward for hearing from all of you out there that want to join the Rare Bear Army. So thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Mom.
you. You're welcome.